This is the Thor Vacuum system. Its main purpose is just to load up material from ground level up to the top of the hopper. We will also be offering leg extension systems for the standard Thor frame, metal frame, so that it can be set to work at standing height, which is about counter height. It can be about 2 feet taller than this setup, and for that I wanted to make sure that we had something to load it automatically, because that will be right up here well above my head, and I think ergonomically that's a terrible situation to have to step up a step ladder carrying pellets. So I don't think that that's really acceptable. Here's the Thor Vacuum system. The control is pretty straightforward. It comes from the factory set, I think, by default of 15 seconds to load. But the basic process is, there's just a vacuum in here, turns on, pulls material up from the hose, from the wand, which we have right now set in this blue trash can. But we'll show you how this control works. You just hit run, it starts that timer, turns on the vacuum. As you can hear in the background, it's as loud, and it runs until the timer's up, and it dumps. All right, so the way this control works, you have this set button. You press it, and you have a few different commands to go through. 1, 2, and 3. All right, so here's the control. This is how it works. This is your run stop. You turn it on and off with that. On the set button, if you hit that, there are 3 different control settings, and then it cycles back around to 1. So for C1, that's the amount of time that the vacuum is active. So I'm just going to leave that at 15 seconds. I go to C2, that's how long it takes to dump. And 10 seconds is probably good. And then C3 is how many cycles it will go through without receiving any material before it will sound the timer. So if I go back to C3, I think default it's just 2 cycles. And so you can increase it to have it keep going if you're paying attention and you don't want that timer buzzing at you. But yeah, normally just a couple cycles. And that's just if it runs out of material or if the hose isn't actively able to draw anything up. So that's real simple. You've got magnets on the back so that it can clip right onto the side of the hopper. And so while you're running, you can start that up. All right, let's do a quick walk around. You can see it doesn't move a whole lot of pellets all at once. It's limited by the size of the container under the vacuum, but it can run faster than a person can bag. But the main advantage is now you have essentially a whole hopper that's at ground level that you can use as an extension. So we fill this up just by rolling the can over to the substrate and dumping the bags straight off where they're stored, and then rolling the whole thing back over. Before we even start, we set this in, turn on the vacuums to load up the hopper, and then everything's ready by the time we're ready to go. So it allows us to have all the material that we need for a decent sized run on hand, and when we have to refill, it's easy. We just roll over the cart, roll it back, stick it in the wand, and we're done. Especially for a taller format, that's going to be a real lifesaver and a real back saver. This hose can be cut down, so if a person is running a short system like this, then they can cut a good 3 or 4 feet off of that hose, and the loop It's not really necessary, and leaving it on there gives you the flexibility of extending your hopper at some later point. In this setup, you can see this is all the prototype. So I've got different stands that were built, and everything's kind of chaotic, so I apologize about that. But that gives you the basic idea of how it works. So right here is the counterweight. And the way this functions is while it's pulling vacuum, the counterweight moves the trap door that the pellets rest on. And so that closes, the vacuum turns on, and that creates a suction enough to where this chamber can fill up entirely. And then when the vacuum turns off, then the weight of the pellets overpower that counterweight and they all spill out. And there's I don't know if you can hear it. There's a little click right there. So there's a switch. It's really just determining how many times that button gets pressed before it stops the vacuum and sounds the alarm to let you know that it's not getting filled. Maintenance is very simple. Just grab this one since it's over here. You can see we've been running this for some time. The bag gets a little dusty. But there are these 4 locks on the sides. And that's where your motor is. You can see there's a fine screen mesh. From time to time, we pop this open and clean that out. And then here's the main mesh that holds the material from going through the motor. That needs to be cleaned from time to time. And you can see down inside that trap door action. So that's the whole operation of this unit. It's very simple, very elegant, and it does a great job at saving you a lot of work. All right, these are currently available through Mushroom Media online. I believe that's the only place you can get one right now. That is wired 110. We specifically ordered them to be wired for the American market. I know I've seen a number of them floating around that are wired for 220. So just make sure you know what you're getting. Through Mushroom Media, you can get the domestically wired vacuum systems, and everything's ready to go. From time to time, we pop this open and clean that out. And then here's the main mesh that holds the material from going through the motor. That needs to be cleaned from time to time. And you can see down inside that trap door action. So that's the whole operation of this unit. It's very simple, very elegant, and it does a great job at saving you a lot of work. I believe that's the only place you can get one right now. That is wired 110. We specifically ordered them to be wired for the American market. I know I've seen a number of them floating around that are wired for 220. So just make sure you know what you're getting. But yeah, through Mushroom Media, you can get the domestically wired vacuum systems, and everything's ready to go.